Good morning everyone. Basa na tayo ng ating history guys. Kapwa ka Pilipino, magbasa na tayo ng history book. History of the Filipino People by Agoncillo and Guerrero. Today is 28 January 2023. Yung note ko dyan guys, nakalagay back to original reading tayo, 5th edition. History of the Filipino People, Part 4, the American Period. Topic number 17 na tayo, the Harrison Administration. Basa. 17. The Harrison Administration. The appointment of Francis Burton Harrison to succeed William Cameron Forbes paved the way for the rapid Filipinization of the civil service. The Filipinos gained greater autonomy and control in practically all branches of the government. The acquisition of more training and political power, however, sharpened the rivalry among the Filipinos for supreme leadership in the colonial government. Filipinization under the Democrats. When the Democrats failed to prevent the annexation of the Philippines in 1898, they expressed themselves in favor of the United States granting independence at some future date. The Republicans, however, did not include the independence question in their platform, and when they did in 1924, it was to emphasize their position that while so much had been done by the Filipinos to prove that they were capable of self-government, so much more needed to be accomplished before independence could be granted. The Democratic Platform of 1900 considered it America's responsibility to give the Filipinos first a stable government, second, independence, and third, protection from outside interference. The Democrats in subsequent platforms favored the granting of independence to the Philippines as soon as a stable government can be established. Woodrow Wilson, the party's presidential candidate in 1912, committed himself to platform. Shortly after winning the election and before taking his oath as president, he said that the Philippines was America's frontier and expressed the hope that we would deprive ourselves of that frontier. In 1912, President Wilson sent a confidential investigator, Henry Ford Jones, a colleague from Princeton, to conduct an investigation of conditions obtaining in the Philippines. Ford stayed for 2 months, traveling extensively and looking into conditions himself. He gave a glowing report on the Filipinos' capacity to govern themselves. He recommended the abolition of the Philippine Commission as its retention was conducive to chronic discord and continual friction in the government. In December 1913, Wilson declared in his first annual message to Congress that step by step we should extend and perfect the system of self-government in the islands. We would more put under control of the native citizens of the archipelago the essential instruments of their life, their local instrumentalities of government, their schools, all the common instruments of their communities, and so by counsel and experience set up a government which all the world will see is suitable to a people whose affairs are under their own control. How soon it would be possible and wise to withdraw American supervision over the Philippines would not, therefore, according to Wilson, depend upon the Americans but upon the performance of the Filipinos. In 1916, the United States Congress sanctioned Wilson's policy with the passage of the Jones Law. The Jones Law 1916. As early as March 1912, Congressman William Atkinson Jones introduced a bill providing for a qualified Philippine independence in 1913 and for complete independence in 1921. The bill was reported favorably by the House Committee on Insular Affairs, but it failed to reach the floor of the lower house. The United States Congress, concerned and harassed by mounting domestic troubles, was hardly in a position to deliberate on the Philippine problem. Jones realized that even his Democratic colleagues who constituted the majority were not prepared to set a definite date for Philippine independence. In 1914, encouraged by Wilson's commitment to a policy of greater Philippine autonomy, Jones introduced the Second Jones Bill. This modified bill did not set a definite date for the grant of independence but simply contained a statement in the form of a preamble that independence would be granted as soon as a stable government could be established in the Philippines. The House of Representatives, with practically no opposition, approved the bill. The Senate, however, rejected the bill because of vigorous objection by many Republicans to the preamble of the bill and the lack of time to consider all its provisions seriously. In 1915, Jones again introduced his bill, which was reported favorably in the Senate. In 1916, Senator James P. Clark introduced an amendment to the bill which would grant independence in not less than 2 but not more than 4 years, with a further provision that the President of the United States was empowered to extend the date to 1 year more and might again submit the problem to Congress. The Philippine Assembly approved a resolution recommending its adoption by the Congress and the President of the United States. The Clark Amendment was approved by a close vote of 42 to 41. The Jones Bill, as amended, was also approved. The Clark Amendment, however, met stiff opposition in the lower house, although in a caucus the Democrats voted in favor of the amended bill. Some of them refused to be bound by party action, and in view of a small Democratic majority, thereby ensured the defeat of the amendment. Quezon in a cable to Osmeña, dated April 28, 1916, requested the latter secure the endorsement of the bill by Archbishop Hardy and other officials of the Catholic Church. He wryly commented that almost all those who rebelled were Catholics. 28 Democrats broke away from party ranks to vote against the Clark Amendment. It was reported that their decision was the result of the intervention by Cardinal James Gibbons of Baltimore, acting. It was opposed at the instigation of the ecclesiastical authorities in the Philippines. The House of Representatives struck out the Clark Amendment from the Third Jones Bill by a vote of 213 to 165. The bill was then approved without a record vote. The Senate, after consultation with the lower house, also passed the bill without the Clark Amendment. On August 29, 1916, President Wilson signed it into law. To the Filipinos, the Jones Law was the first American formal and official commitment to grant independence to the Philippines. Previous utterances made by American presidents being mere executive opinions, not necessarily binding on the American people. Now the Jones Law and its preamble proposed to withdraw their sovereignty over the Philippine Islands and to recognize their independence as soon as a stable government can be established therein. To achieve this purpose, the preamble declared it desirable to place in the hands of the people of the Philippines as large a control of their domestic affairs as can be given them, so that they may be better prepared to fully assume their responsibilities and enjoy the privilege of complete independence. Thus, the Jones Law became a virtual constitutional compact between the American and Filipino peoples. The Filipinos accepted an autonomous, though temporary, government under American sovereignty on condition that the exercise of the rights of sovereignty by the people of the United States would not be impaired. The Jones Law provided for the retention of the executive branch of the government under American control. It reduced the term of office of the recent commissioners from 3 to 2 years, although it granted them the same privileges enjoyed by the members of the U.S. House of Representatives, such as franking privileges and allowances. The most important provision of the Jones Law, however, called for the reorganization of the Philippine legislature. A Senate with 24 members, 2 of whom were appointed by the Governor-General to represent the non-Christian peoples, replaced the outmoded and much criticized Philippine Commission. The House of Representatives, composed of 80 elective and 9 appointed members, superseded the Philippine Assembly. A special election for senators was held in 1916. Assemblymen who were elected in June 1916 qualified for membership in the House of Representatives. On October 16, 1916, with the inauguration of the legislature, the Jones Law took effect. Some Filipino critics regarded the law as defective. Maximo M. Calao pointed out that it was too elastic. The Governor-General could be as powerful or as liberal as he wanted, so that he and the Filipino leaders were bound to clash if they differed in the interpretation of the Jones Law. The law, according to him, did not provide for an undisputed and recognized official position in the government for the political leader of the people, and therefore was conducive to conflict between the Filipino leaders. Moreover, some skeptics noted that the law failed to provide the criteria for the vague and ambiguous phrase stable government. Whatever its imperfections, it was admitted that the Jones Law was the best legislation obtainable from the United States Congress at the time. Bukas na yung Harrison and Filipinization, guys, kasi mahaba pa rin. Bye everyone, God bless.